Greetings, greetings, greetings. We are in the lab. Oh, no, we're not in the lab. We're not in the lab. We are in one of the levels of heaven. We're in one of the levels of heaven. We are here. We are here. And again, this is part two of what we had going on last week. And we got our special guests. And say all our guests are always special. And we got Dominic in the house. Got Dominic. Glad to have you back, Dominic. We got Chase in the house. We got Chase in the house. Glad to have you back, Chase. We got Ivan in the house. Glad to have you back, Ivan. And we got Liz in the house. And joining us, we got one of my people, one of my great scholars from Savannah State University, who's in Jacksonville, Florida, and Nassau County, Florida, and in Duval County. We got Malik in the house. Malik, glad to have you join us. And so we're continuing the conversation that we had. But now this time we're going to get into, and that's we're going to jump right into it. And this is about the vision. What is your vision for us in the present and in the future? What is your vision for us in the present and the future? What you desire for us in the present and in the future? What we're going to do, and we've been told we have only 58 minutes tonight. 58 minutes. We've been given an additional 1 minute by the producer, Julius Hall. We're moving up in the world. We still don't have the telethon time. We don't have the 5 hours or 12 hours or 24 hours, but we got at least an additional minute right now, 1 minute. Glad to have you all joining us for Run Tell That. We say share, share, share. We're going to start with Lindsay. Lindsay, what is your vision for the present and the future for us?
Hi. Hi, everyone. Thanks for letting me kick it off. Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
I mean, in continuation, of course, just if my vision for the present is just, and for the future is for the people to be empowered and for us to take control of our living conditions. So it's like, but that's like long term. I would just love to see people right now, but that's going to take people waking up. So, in order for people to be empowered, people have to be aware of it. And I think we're still in those beginning stages of building people's awareness of their capacity and their capability to truly do these type of things,
Okay. All right. So, Ivan, what's your vision? Again, this one again is full and is open. What's your vision for the present and the future? What do you desire?
For the present, what I really desire is a building of the consciousness of not just the classes, but the races, but just who ourselves and our place in our country and the world as well. And from that, I really do want to see a teardown of all the divisions we put across from us and a realization of the exploiters above us, be it the owners, be it the racists, be it whoever they are. For the future, I want to see, and this might seem a little vague, but a return to community. People nowadays are so terrified of each other. There's a process called alienation. We don't trust each other. We don't trust our neighbors. We don't trust the people who we work with. We're so terrified of each other. Once we realize we have this consciousness across hopefully globally, we will be able to start building these communities, and from then we can actually achieve our freedom. Nobody does it alone. It takes they say it takes a village, but we're the villages. So return to that and creating a world where profits are decentralized, where growth is especially decentralized, and community and material conditions of said communities are prioritized is what I'd like to see in the future.
Okay. All right. Chase, what is your vision? What is your desire for the present and the future?
Well, for the future, I definitely want to, I agree with Lindsay and I agree with Ivan. I also want to see people's needs being met without question. I want to see some physical results, people having housing if they want housing, if they need it, food being provided, no problem, access to clean water and air. I think that is both a big ask, but such a simple thing to ask for. And that's what I primarily hope for, is just access to necessities, because it's so hard for so many people for not a lot of good reason, in my opinion. But as a part of that, what I want in the present is I want to start seeing those seeds being planted. I want to see some action taken today that's going to pay off in the future. For a quick example, a lot of affordable housing that we see comes from older buildings. You don't build a brand new facility specifically for affordable housing. You typically don't do that. And we can start investing today in housing that is market rate, but in the future, it's going to maintain that rate while housing prices go up, while inflation takes effect. And what you have in 20, 30 years from now is rates today that look really good compared to the future.
Okay. All right. So, Dominique, your thoughts, your vision for the future and the present. What do you see? What world that we would need to create?
Like Lindsay said, we need to educate people on what's going on. I was doing some research a while ago about the Rainbow Coalition, how we went out, how the Panther Party went out, and they went into the realm of the KKK, and they realized that, hey, you guys are being treated just like we're being treated. It's a class thing, when you break it down and look at it. But it took people to listen and understand and break down those walls to see that, hey, we do have a lot more in common than we think we do. And then they realized that they had a common enemy. So that goes into the quote, the enemy of the enemy is my friend. But for the future, we need to actually, before you can get to the future, you have to have that understanding in the present to move forward. You have to give people that education and see things for what they are. And sometimes you have to go a little bit in the past to say that, hey, these people have been doing this for this long, and this is how you reacted to that for this long. So sometimes you have to show people either the error of their ways or the way that they were, the steps that they took to get to where they are. If they were great steps or not so great steps, are we learning from our past so we can have a better present to ensure a better future, so we can make a plan to go into the future? More people are understanding of what's going on, what they've done, so that they can make better decisions in the future. But it takes planning. Everything takes planning, proper planning, right?
Okay. And Malik, Austin Malik, coming from Duval.
Peace. How y'all doing? I have just two simple points. My vision for the future and for the present is really just to see more youth in power, people younger than my age, people around my age, to see more of us in positions of power. That's what for the future. And I would like knowledge of wealth. Two simple points that I wanted to make: knowledge of wealth and to see more youth in power, people my age. And
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay.
But I believe that what we're doing now is a pivotal point into going into the future. As long as we stick by what we're doing, what we're talking about, and reaching out and getting other people involved, that's one of the biggest things that's going to carry over into this future that we're planning on, that we do want to see. Getting back to our peers, our counterparts, those are within our circle, because I'm pretty sure that those people have their own circles as well. It's all about spreading the word, spreading the news.
And I just go off the camera for a bit because I got someone coming here, have one of my people doing the work. And it's fitting with regards to that, because I was with someone yesterday and we discussed about, I'm going to say this, there are pockets of power that we see, but don't manifest itself with regards to what they're doing. We see that there's a generation of people that we gonna call the elders. The elders, they are vested. They move with regards to power. That's not to say that they have a full understanding of the power that they have and how to use the power in the right way. So we got that pocket. Then people tend to think that then you have what we call the middle-aged group with regards to this pocket of power. Now, what is surprising, the group that's right after the elders, that's right on that borderline with regards to them, with regards to the pocket of power, what we're looking at, we kind of tossed it out there last week, are people who are young people, they don't say from teenagers up and going to their 30s, and I'm gonna just say into their late 30s, that they are like the second wave of that pocket of power. And so, Nick, what you're throwing out there, and that's a part of what I want to get into with you all, saying that what is the work that we need to be doing with regards to us? Because somebody realized that we could have made a change here just in Savannah, Chatham County alone, if we had that group, that 18 to that 30, to go into the 30s, if they understood the fullness of the power. What do we need to do? Because see, that's why I wanted y'all to talk about this vision and this dream of what we need, and not dream, but the reality that we have to bring forth is not something that, again, that we're going to leave up to somebody who is 84 years old, somebody who's 90 years old, somebody who's 70 years old, who they're basically are now about to now retire, relax, and all that. Well, we need the people who still going to be here for another 5 and 6 decades. We need them to make sure that this planet, that this community, that where we are is straight. So how do we get that second wave, like I said, that second wave of power to understand, to utilize it and make it happen? Because that's why I wanted y'all to give you a vision. Because it ain't about, I'm like saying, how I've always felt is that if I think it, it's up to me to manifest it. And guess what? It's not just me out there thinking like that. It's other people out there too. And that's where we have to have that communication. We have to talk with regard to that. So I'm throwing it out there to Austin, Malik, like, what do we do with regard to not getting that second wave, to understand the power that they got and how to manifest it and make it happen? It's your own personal thoughts with regard, because I think the people who are checking out our show tonight, they need to hear this and need to hear it coming from you, because I talk about it, but then it is better for them to hear it and coming directly from you.
I'll say understanding not only power and the position of power that they're in, but understanding the power of delegation. See, it's not only power in just holding a position. You have to spread the power you have out so that it benefits the collective more. So all the responsibility is not just on you. You've given some responsibility to the people, so some of the benefits can come back to the people. So understanding the power of delegation while in a position of power, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
I'm gonna say this right here. I think I'm gonna steal that from you. I ain't gonna give you no credit for it, but at least you know me and you got love. You know how I operate. When you come with some stuff that's sexy, because that was sexy right there. See, I'm telling y'all checking out this show. See, my people from Savannah State, no, I tell them they do something. They come with some great ideas. I say that's sexy. That's sexy. I like that. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna use it. I ain't gonna give them no credit for it, but they get the grades for it. So I'm just throwing that there. I like that right there. So when we come to Dominique, and I know you're gonna be all skeptical because you know you're gonna say I'm stealing from a B-type bulldog, but I'm gonna leave that alone. We on other stuff tonight.
All right. When it comes to delegation, when it comes to our generations trying to let go, one of the biggest things that I feel is fear. They're afraid to let things go, and this is why when we're talking about different things in society and how we see the world changing, we always revert back to what we know, what we understand, what we learned. So we'll talk about back in my day, we didn't do things this way. In my day, we didn't do things that way. We see it in so many different avenues, especially music. You know, we get afraid to let go of certain sounds of music. We're like, oh, we don't like these younger artists, you know, so it goes in generations. And so what happens is we have that fear of, if I let this go, are you going to make it look like that thing I don't like in society? Are you going to, you know, turn it into this thing I don't like in society? But what's something else that I find is that as the world changes, if you're still holding on to what you know, sometimes slowly is becoming obsolete. So we have a generation that don't want to let go certain things, and things are still changing around them, such as technology. So it's hard to let go of something, but what we have to do is meet them halfway to show them that, hey, look, I got it. I can do it. But how can we get them to let it go? How can we get them to be at ease about it? So I feel that with that communication, ushering in, like we're here online right now, but we need to find this group that we can come in and join in on community activities, join in on community meetings, so that it will give that sense of understanding that, hey, look, this group does have it. They are taking care of it. Because what's happening is if we show up with this generation side by side, we will be there for them to say, okay, this person I can trust. This person I can let go of the helm and let this person guide, because right there we're getting mentorship one-on-one. So are we doing any one-on-one community mentorship with our elders so they can be at ease about it? Are they showing us the way, or are they just telling us, hey, I need you to do it this way? Well, how about this? How about, we get younger generation to come out there with you, and you show us verbatim, line by line, step by step, left seat, right seat. Okay. Whatever helps, but let us know what helps, because you just can't say, hey, go out there and do it. No, show me how you want me to do it, and I can add my new generation approach to it to make it even better, to go along with the changes that are being made.
Excellent point. The fear, and people are fearful of a lot of things, and we're going to get into that. And so, Chase, what's your thoughts with regards to that? How do we get that group to now understand they have power and how to use it and to exercise it?
Thank you so much, Dominic. I loved your answer. I loved everything about it. I was actually planning on following up by saying, we lead. We show people how it's done. And that doesn't mean that you have to commit to being a leader. That doesn't mean you have to know what that means or how to be a leader. Because I say that because I'm thinking of this 3-minute clip. It's a bunch of people on a hillside, lovely evening. And there's this one guy, one man, he stands up and he starts dancing and he looks crazy. But the incredible thing is that one other person joins up with him, and then 2 more, and then 5 more. And suddenly the whole hillside out of nowhere is dancing. They're having a great time. And it's all because one person stood up and started that. So that's where I think that we can get people involved by showing them that there are other people who think like them and who want to be involved with them. If I can do a quick shout out, anyone on the southwest side of Chatham County on Facebook, there's the West Chatham County community. I'm messing it up. I'm sorry, but Miss Carrie Bieber, she runs it. It's one of those tight-knit community things that you can go to. I'm sure your neighborhoods have something like that. If you show up, you'll find there are other people.
All right. Yes. And Ivan, again, what's your thoughts with regards to how we get this group, getting this second realm to understand the power that they got and to utilize it?
Yes, and what very often happens is, well, the best way to do is like, people are not happy, or it may not, that's the wrong way to go, but people can be upset or frustrated by their state, right? You can gather around that issue. There's a series you could follow. You could first gather, whether that be, whether it be a union or a local group just upset about something in town, gathering up these people at the point of what they want to change. And then it literally can follow a linear steps: education, agitation, and action, where you find these people, we learn everything we can to a certain extent of this issue, and also in that process learn about each other and other things we care about, so we can expand their goals and horizons and keep growing that group while we're doing this. Agitation, as in pushing the bounds of the powers against us to their limit, finding out how far can we go in with their rules. And once you find that limit, that's action. You should already be ready to break past those limits and go to a place where they're not comfortable. Put them where they're frustrated. And when they come to you asking, wait, how do we stop what you do? How do we stop you? Because you guys are making this hell for us. And that's how we can really find those powers. And it is people, I think I said this at the last meeting ad nauseum. It comes down to, of course, as always, people power. We have the power. Everything is by us. We always forget that. But it's, through these process of collectivizing and, through collective action, we rediscover that power.
Okay. Lindsay.
And we're all just building off of each other. And so I love what everybody has said. And I think my thoughts this whole time is, and it's not even just like a generational power. I think the power that we are trying to shift isn't just, it is the old helm, but it's been kept and passed down, this way of thinking and this way of going about power. That's what the capitalist class is about, is the way that they hoard power, hoard wealth, and they rule it all. And I think sometimes we try to use our power by duplicating those, and truly showing our power is that collective power is, you know what Yvonne just said, you have an issue with this? Okay, let's change your workplace, and we're gonna run the workplace. Oh, you don't like your housing? Okay, get a tenant organizing together, and you guys, and it's shifting, because in this system we have to shift in increments, and it will come to where we are agitating them, like Yvonne said, but we have to look at those ways of power that we're not trying. I am not trying to be a billionaire and then give my billions to other people. You know, that is not my goal. My goal is to just like open up that so everybody can come and get what everybody needs, and we all agree upon it. And then what Dominique was saying about fear is that people fear this type of world because we fear each other and our greed. But we have to show people the world that we're creating and these values and these morals, like it will heal our humanity to where we don't have to fear each other. That fear comes out of the conditions of the scarcity that we have been fed. And then we try to chase that capital because we think that will help us. But that's not the power that will help us. It's the power of the people. So I think it's like trying to get people to shift their ways of that, you know? And we do need economic power, right? There are ways to do that, but it's not just through you getting it, you know, hustling and becoming that. So I think it's really shifting ways of power and how we view that. And then we really are unstoppable because each of us has so much. But we have to learn and work together. And it's only through our collective power and our democratic agreement that we can do that. And so it's really like, and that's why they say it's a revolution. It's like we're truly like shifting things, you know. But I think at the core, everybody knows that things are messed up and this world is crazy, and that's why we're told to like fight against it. But we can't fight using those tools. We have to find other ways.
Okay. And Mr. Producer, I apologize. I should not have. Mr. Producer told me I was not supposed to ask a question at 20 after. So, Mr. Producer, we're going to let you go ahead and run the commercial. If you want to run 2 commercials, that's fine. Mr. Producer, I apologize. I'm willing to take, you know, if I made a mistake like that, Mr. Producer, because we got to get these bills paid. So, thank you, Mr. Producer. We'll come right back. 1, 2. are back. This is Run Tell That. We have Dominic Crumley. We have Lindsay LeGrovenstein. We have Chase. We have Austin. We have Yvonne, Jamal. We are here together. We're here together. And something that Chase said, that is actually what we were going to be having a conversation about. And Lindsay then, because a great segue with regard to, but I got going to say, the people checking out the show, Aria Scott, glad to have you. David Bannon, glad to have you. Fahim, glad to have you. Charles Morris, glad to have you. And Charles is excited to seeing, hearing what you all are saying and checking out what you all are saying. And see, Mr. Producer, I already know what's going on in your head right now. You're saying to yourself, because you've been wanting to have a show like this with folks from that 20s up to their 30s, you have wanted to have a show like that. And so I know you are plotting and planning. You're going to be trying to contact Chase. You're going to try to contact Dominic. You're going to try to contact Lindsay and Austin and Yvonne. You're going to try to contact all of them and say, listen here, we need y'all on the show on our Black Media platform where y'all talking about this all the time. I already know what you plan on doing. You coming at me like that. I already know the trickery. I know the trickery. Yeah, that's what's about to happen. That's what he's going to do. Don't be surprised. So, you had said that, and I'm on the phone, had a call come in, but you had said it, and you talked about something, and Dominic, you said it, and Lindsay, you addressed it. I just got to ask the question, what are we afraid of? What are we afraid of? So, Chase, what are we afraid of when we want to make change? What are we afraid of? And this is your own thoughts, your own perspective. What are we afraid of?
I think a lot of people are afraid of looking crazy, of standing out alone and getting this feeling of maybe they're in the wrong, whether or not they are. I think a lot of people are afraid that if they try to take action, they'll fail, and failing does hurt. And especially when it's something as important as anything that can affect your future, from like a rezoning to petitioning, to fighting for organizing in the workplace or in a tenant union. It hurts to fail, but you still got to try. And that goes back to where I think it helps a lot if people can see even just one other person who's trying to do what they're trying to do. One person that they can grab onto and say that we're not crazy. One person that they can grab onto and say, we share these ideas and we can talk about it and we can build off of each other. Most importantly of all, we can throw ideas back and forth and really develop what it is that we're trying to do and what we're trying to say. All of this does come down to people power. It comes down to taking action as a community, because we're not just trying to say that we're changing the world how I want it. We're trying to say we're changing the world in a way that we want it, in a way that benefits everybody. And that takes conversation. That takes people talking with each other so that we can agree on what we want. And also so that we can all then talk to the people in power, or shout at them or kick down their door or whatever it takes. But in any case, do it while shouting at them. This is what we want.
Okay. Yvonne, that, you've been doing work with regards to Cop City. And so again, why do you not have fear? I really, some stick to it. Why do we have fear? Why are we afraid? Here, because you go to Cop City, you get engaged in that. So why we have fear? What's your thoughts on that?
I'd say we have I would say it's, if you want to get really philosophical, why we have fear, it's because we fear death. But the two main fears we have are, I think, especially in this space where I'm at, is failure and repression. Repression is much more easy to explain. It's just the state or the powers that be, whether it be owners or the government, acting out towards us. Would that be me losing a job opportunity, going to jail? These are scary because they hurt your life. They negatively impact my standard of living, my ability to live the life I want, the way I want to, the way I think I should. Failure is much more innocuous, and it's also much more vague. Because that's the one we have to get rid of. Because in these spaces, there's no such thing as failure. It's always moving forward. I wish I could get into it, but there's a there's two brilliant anarchist people that I really love to organize with, and they have this analogy of the archer, and basically what we're aiming for is this mark, and if you miss your target, if the archer misses the target, they should not give up. Every single missed shot is a chance for correction and hitting that mark, and that's the way we need to approach our organizing and get rid of that feel of failure. Repression we can't get rid of. That's always going to be there until the powers that would harm us are eliminated. But failure needs, and that fear of it needs to be just eliminated from our minds and vocabulary.
Yvonne, I think the audio may have gone out for a second.
Oh,
You want to finish that? All right.
And did I cut it out there?
Yeah,
Oh man. What you guys?
It was just the latter part. You know, it was just the last couple of seconds what you were saying.
Oh, okay. No, I was just saying that the fear of oppression we can't get rid of. That's always going to be there if the powers that be and that control us are there. So that has to be eliminated. The fear of failure has to, at least from ourselves, be eliminated from our minds and vocabulary, because we can't be afraid to fail. Because we have to always be willing to take that next step, to take that next shot, so we can hit our targets.
Okay. All right. So we now come back to you, Lindsay. You gave some with regards to this.
Yeah. I would say, so like, we can go a lot, but what I was saying about fear and how we want to, change power and take the power from, the older, not even the older generation. It's about like that transition. I think people are scared of transition. I think people are scared of change. They're scared, anytime you talk about socialism, people will say, oh, that's utopia, as if like that's bad. Like we shouldn't try to make things better, right? Because we're scared of not getting there. Oh, we can't. Oh, it's perfect. You can't do it. So that fear of failure, or fear of change. People were this type of society, very divisive because they're hoarding onto their wealth. The capitalist class, they want to keep the people divided. And so they will always keep us divided over, liberal, Republican, black, white, poor, rich, all of these. And we're always going to fear the other. And I'm always going to fear somebody with a different belief than me. And again, that's about our collective powers, our power to come together and to overcome those type of boundaries and to talk. And it takes us talking to each other and coming out. But I think it's like this really fundamental fear that people have. And as organizers and people who are trying to make a change, we have to kind of coax people out of that and show them that you have nothing to fear from human beings, and like we see that right now. I mean, I can't not mention like what's going on in Palestine right now, and in that there's this dehumanization of Palestinians and their genocide right now. And it's like but that happens all across. Again, I work with refugees all across the world. People, and it's mostly brown and black bodies, are just being killed. And it's like, we don't care because we're not viewing people in that lens of like compassion and humanity. And we may not fear them, but that stems from that. It stems from that type of thinking, fear and hatred and like darkness. And we got to get out of that,
All right. Nick.
One thing that a lot of people are saying the same thing: change and failure are the two things that biggest things that we fear, or the older generation may fear. Are we still talking about the elder generation?
No,
when it comes to fear, just in general.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Well, that in general, it's an innate thing that we fear change, because we find comfort in things, in repetition. We find comfort in doing the same thing because it's a pattern. And so we know through that pattern of nothing changing, we won't fail because that pattern isn't changing. But what happens is, while you're doing that, the opposite side, who's ever trying to overcome you, they're studying your pattern. They're studying what you're doing that's not changing. So they're developing a way, will develop a way to disrupt what you have going on. So while you're not there, so now you're gonna have fear because something has changed in your plan, something has changed in your everyday steps, in your pattern. But to ensure, sometimes you just have to understand that whatever you have going on, your plans, it may fail. The only thing to help that is develop more than one plan. And how you develop more than one plan, you may have to incorporate somebody else. You may have to engage in getting a teammate. You may have to develop a better operation. You have multiple people, you lessen your different ways of failure. And then you have more ideas from other people. So to combat fear, you really have to set in place more than one plan, more than one way of doing something, of handling something, or taking care of anything. That's what knocks that out. Prime example, Malcolm X, he was a threat because he didn't display fear. Even if he had it, he didn't display it, so he became a threat. He's like, I don't fear you. So you're going to get what's happening. Change is going to come because I'm not afraid of anything. So we have to get to that point. So, and if you do find yourself being fearful of those type of things, that might be your way of saying either I need help or I need to have assistance to help me carry over.
Okay. All right. So, Malik, fear.
Dominique, Dominique, I love what you just said, brother. And I don't know if these are the words you were looking for, but the words I heard was the fear of a revolution. And when I was thinking about those words, it's like, well, this world born and this world revolves. This world continues through revolution. So why us as humans, why do we take the time to fear the essence of voting against what we don't agree with as people? And with that, I just wanted to say that another thing that we may fear as a majority, thinking that we're a minority, we may fear ourselves, because everyone that we see is a reflection of ourselves, whether we like them or we don't like them. So sometimes that keeps us from coming together for the greater good because we fear ourselves. Sometimes we fear looking in the mirror so much that it unites with the other parts of ourselves that can help us get to the top. And going back to the point, I don't know which person said it about the one person dancing and then the entire group of people dancing. Now we don't look crazy.
Chase. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chase hit on that.
Well, actually, I was going to share this. So because Malik has been in the classroom, and this is why I share with people, y'all heard me talk about this, the Our Black Media Network, and y'all see me do some of my presentations. I talked about this right here. I tell folks, I say, I don't care if 1,000 people tell you a lie. You know the truth, you stand on and speak the truth. And you continue to do it, even with 1,000 people. And I said, what eventually will happen? That's what Chase was saying. Part of it, I was like, this falls right in line with us. That I tell people what will eventually happen. Some of the people who are speaking the lies, they start saying, you know what? What she is saying, what he's saying makes sense. Then they come up on the other side.
Yeah. And
then they begin to speak the truth also. Then what happens? Some other members of that 1,000 start hearing it too, and they start coming over. And then that's why I said we begin to have that groundswell, because you still have that opposition, but then you now have the truth speakers out there who are going to remain steadfast. And Nick, going to what you're saying, that again, and not conveying the fear of telling the truth. They are resolute and they are dedicated to the truth to make sure that we change the dynamics here. And so what we're about to do right now, we're about to go to another commercial. Mr. Producer, we can go to another commercial. It is 41 minutes, so it's not at 45. It's 41 minutes, so we're going to go to a commercial, come right back. This is Run Tell That. are back. This is Run Tell That with Jamal Toure. Got Chase Rosen in the house. We got Dominic Crumbly. We got Lindsey Grovenstein. We got Austin Malik. And we have Yvonne in the house. Yvonne is actually a person that I was going to go to with this next question. And it comes down to something that y'all are saying. And Lindsey kind of like, because again, we see some good segues with regard to what you all are talking about and with your regards to your responses. And I have to share this with you. Support our advertisers. Davis Johnson Bozeman Law Firm with offices in Atlanta, Statesboro, and Savannah. Kim's Cafe, 714 MLK Junior Boulevard, right here in Savannah, Georgia. Shepherd's Food and Gas on Styles and Gwinnett Streets here in Savannah, Georgia. And One Price Cleaners in Garden City in the Farmers Market. Support them because they help make it possible for us to have these dynamic people on the airways with you right here. Check us out on YouTube channel, Our Black Media channel on YouTube and Our Black Media Network on Facebook. And so now it comes down to this. Yvonne, what do you see as being the greatest threat or threats to us right now with regards to how we function? What is the greatest threat or threats that you see? Because you mentioned about with regard to Cop City. I'm just saying, what do you see with regard to that? What are the other things you see? What are the greatest threats to us right now? That the public, that people checking out the show, like Deidre Murray, glad to have you, Deidre, checking out the show, that they need to be sensitive to, and their antennas are not up with regards to that.
Genuinely, I think the big threat to the people is climate change. I don't think there's anything around that. We're gonna have climate refugees coming into this country, leaving this country, people being displaced, food shortages, water shortages. I almost don't want to dwell on it because it's so existential that it's hard to even like. It's so systemic what we need to do to fight against it. Perhaps I think the focus though is the power of the state. I think there's a rise in authoritarianism happening globally as well in America. That comes with direct repression as well as surveillance. They want to make it hard for you to act, both by attacking your actions and also intercepting you before you come to action. You know, making you scared to organize with your community and your affinity groups, making you scared to discuss these things. You know, I've had this. I mean, I've had relatives tell me, don't be in these spaces. Don't be on the streets. You're going to lose a job. You're going to lose, you're going to get questioned, whatever the hell. I would say that's, in terms of to be really wary for it, that's the biggest threat. Because it might in a way be bigger than the aforementioned climate change, because with that threat of the state's authoritarian oppression, we cannot do the other actions to stop, to stop the dystopia, so to speak.
All right, Lindsey, what are the greatest threat or threats that you see out there for us? What's out there and that people need to have their antennas up and be aware of, and ultimately they need to get involved in some way, somehow?
Yeah, I'll just agree. I agree with Yvonne, of course. And I mean, it's so crazy because it sounds so, like we're talking about these powers but we know that they're real and that their grip is deadly and that it has real effects on people. And it's not circumstance. It's not just coincidence. These are like people in power making sure, lobbying politicians, and they don't listen to us. So it's like falling into this kind of dystopia. I mean, it's late stage capitalism, and that's not just like a buzzword, trend word that you see on social media. I mean, it's real. And like what Yvonne is talking about, like the state becoming more present and oppressive and authoritarian is so true. And that's like so Cop City, for those who don't know about it, is a police training site in Atlanta that they're tearing down a forest to do. But they're calling it Cop City because it's literally like a city that cops can be trained in, and they're like learning how to tear gas people, militarization of the police. And they're doing this as a direct response to the 2020 George Floyd protests. They saw people getting in the streets dissenting, and they said, oh no, this is not happening again. Okay. And they are also, like, Georgia is also part of the GILEE program, which is the Georgia International, its acronyms, International Exchange Program, where they're actually sending our troops to Israel to be trained by the IDF, who who are in an apartheid state. And so there's this like coalition where we're proxy warring, and our military bases are everywhere, and we're like this empire that we're really trying to stay afloat through these aggressive means, and also trying to convince our people, you know, everyday Americans, that like that's okay. So you have Republicans and conservatives who are you know, some of them are falling into the trope of like super patriotism, but then you have these liberals as well who are falling into this like neoliberal like I'm just performative politics. It doesn't mean anything, and so it's sucking real politics out, and it's like draining the people who are really trying to make good change. And so I think that's like it's like this. There's a lot of existential threats, and they're all like intersectional, and they're all a lot, right? But us coming together and you finding something that you want to organize with, and it's so important. So I'll leave it at that. That there's a lot of threats, but that means that we can get together even more.
All right.
I don't mean to interrupt, but real quick about Cop City. And we can't forget that the first ever environmental activist was murdered involved in the construction of Cop City, Tortuguita, was shot and killed by the Atlanta PD, by the Georgia State Patrol, and that can never be forgotten.
All right. All right. Yes, indeed. And so, Chase.
Excuse me. At the risk of just repeating Lindsay, I do think the biggest threat is these sort of private powers that are in places of authority. Continuing to use Cop City as an example, a lot of the funding for that comes from private donations. There's an organization that it all gets funneled through, and that organization has a board whose members are made up of executives of big name companies. These are things that we don't want, but for whatever reason they may have, being profit, these private companies want Cop City. The auto industry and the oil and gas industries, they don't care about climate change because it makes them a boatload of money. It comes down to these authorities who have these capitalist interests and go on without the checks and balances that they need to ensure that we all continue to enjoy our life to the fullest extent, to have clean air, clean water, and to hopefully minimize this climate refugee crisis that Yvonne mentioned. I fully believe is going to be coming at this point. To answer your question more briefly, it's those corporate interests.
Okay. And you were finished, Chase? Okay. And so, Austin.
I'll narrow it down to 3 words, Doc. Greed,
Okay.
and deforestation.
Mm.
Without the forest, we can't breathe. Without the trees, we can't breathe. Classism stops everybody from getting access to what it is that we need, and greed. Even with Cop City, we can even narrow Cop City down to those. How do they build it without tearing something down, without tearing some trees down? Deforestation was involved in building Cop City as well. So even in just that, greed, classism, and deforestation are some of the biggest threats to stopping us from doing what we need to do as a people.
Okay.
Hey, I'm sorry to jump in again. I just want to say, really, he's completely right about that. That's the reason why the movement used to be called Defend the Forest. It's now called Stop Cop City, because the forest has been declared a cut already.
Wow.
Okay. Nick, we come to you.
All of those are the things that are hindering us. I will go to what we are seeing within ourselves. There's a big sense of individualism amongst us as a people. Like we can do everything on our own. We don't talk to each other anymore as a whole. As people in general. I've observed with the development of technology, we have social media. We have more technology in our hand than we used to have forever ago. We lost that village mentality as far as community. And with this individualism that we have, that seems to play well for the opposing forces, because by us not talking to each other, us not trusting each other, we tend to have to, we are actually, it's harder for us in this society with this individualism, because we can't knock on the next door and ask for, hey, I know we're going through things in this economy right now and it's hard, but we can't even ask for a cup of sugar because we don't know the person next door. You know, we walk by them every day. So it's hard for us to come together easily to make these changes and become a threat like we used to do. You know, there were a time where we can get together and have a house party to raise money, a rent party. We can't do that anymore because we don't know our neighbors anymore. We can't get the news out about what's happening in the community because of individualism. There's no more coming together. So, and when we do use social media, the majority of it seems like it's misused. We're just talking about a bunch of nothing. So that's what makes it hard to get the word out for us to progress as well. And what may have taken place to aid that, you know, gentrification or displacement. So you get to know your community, but over time, when you have to move away, you have to get to know more people. So that goes back to change as well. And, you know, just fearing. We don't want to talk to nobody else because we don't know how that person react. You know, that person may just snap at us. So we just confide in ourselves, individualism again. So to fight that and to fight those things, you know, we must actually not be afraid to talk to each other so we can talk about those other things, those other topics at hand that will turn around and save our communities.
Okay. All right. And now Yvonne says something. We understand about climate change. Ain't nothing existential or none of that there for us because we farm in promised land. And I told this to various people. I have seen the changes with regards to us farming last year with this year, just in the farming. And we know this tied to climate. We talk a variety of issues because we do environmental issues. We address all of that. We see it. And in fact, just throw something out there to you, the impact on us is that Weyerhaeuser, which is they own over 12 million acres of land in the United States, and they manage another 14 million in Canada. Weyerhaeuser has a plan that they want to use methyl bromide fumigating some of the wood, some of the lumber. In Riceboro, Georgia, methyl bromide is toxic to the lungs and also causes ozone depletion. Some elected officials denied the request, but others, they went from the city, then go to the county. And so then the county gives some approval. And so, but we don't have the assurances. Now the people had to stand up. And so we had to pass on that information. So that's why it becomes crucial for us to understand that none of it's happening in a vacuum. It is all connected. When we talk about what's happening, what's happening in Northeast Africa, when we look at what's happening in Gaza, we look at what's happening in IAT, what's happening there in Eritrea, what's happening there in Ethiopia, what's happening in Sudan, what's happening in the Congo, we see in Myanmar. We know all this right here is all connected. What we see happening in Turkey, it is all connected. We got to stand up and have to speak out. We can't be silent because injustice, when you see injustice, you're supposed to speak out against it.
Right.
But you're supposed to do more with regard to removing the injustice. And so that's the thing. Now we're going to close with this. Again, we have only, we have 1 minute. I'm looking at what's up here on the screen. The producer may give us a little bit more, but we got 1 minute. Actually, I said, Mr. Producer, give us 2 minutes. And we want you all to give a word to the people out there. So we can't take a lot of it. So we got 2 minutes right now, not 2 minutes each, that within the 2 minute time period. So we're going to start with you, Nick. What's the word that people need to have? And think on how they can get in touch with you too. That's the other thing.
Have more courage. Talk to people. Communicate. And don't be afraid to do it. You can see me on Facebook, Dominique Crumbly, and yeah, that's it.
And on Instagram.
Dominique Antoine on Instagram.
Okay. All right. Austin Malik.
Make peace with anybody that you can, that you may have disrupted their peace. Atonement is what will save our lives. Personal atonement. If everybody personally atones with who you have done wrong, the world will change overnight. That's my belief. I stand on that. You can get in contact with me personally, 904-386-5199. It's Austin Malik, 904-386-5199.
All right. Chase Rosen.
Oh, yeah. I'm just going to echo, talk with people. Don't be afraid to really connect with someone. Knock on your neighbor's door and, say, hey, if you need a cup of sugar, I have some now. And you can reach me at email is best for me. Email at racenickchase, RACENICKCHASE @gmail.com. That's the best way. I will get it immediately.
All right. And Yvonne.
Yeah, best ways to reach me, email Ivan, IVAN Weiss, 1S, 919 @gmail.com, or my Instagram, which is Ivan Weiss Palacios, or honestly, Savannah DSA. Reach out to them, ask for me, you'll get me, and leave on the only thing we have to lose is our chains.
All right. Okay. Lindsay.
Hi. Hope, believe in a better future. We can do this, but only together. Please, if you want to get in touch with any of us here, Chase, Yvonne, myself, we are with the Democratic Socialists of America. We have a Facebook and an Instagram. Look up Savannah DSA. We want to work with you. Whatever issue it is that you have, let's collaborate. Let's talk offline. Let's get going. Let's get organized. Let's do it. Please get in touch.
All right. Erica Taylor, glad to have you here with us. And my brother from Hershey Virginia High School, Jack Sowers, when I say, love thy neighbor. And that is so true. And so, Jack, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to throw this out there. Dominic, when you were saying something comes into play. Air conditioning, central air and heat. Because what happened at one time when we didn't have the air conditioning, we sat on our porches. We sat outside. So we saw our neighbor, we saw the people in our community, and we talked to one another. But when we got that AC, we all now go inside and we don't connect to the people. And that's what it is. We got to connect to the people. We got to love our neighbor. We got to look out for us and make change. This has been Run Tell That. This has been a great 2 shows we've had with you all. Glad to have you. Chase Rosen, Lindsay Grovenstein, Austin Malik, and also Quincy Jones, and now with us tonight, Dominic Crumbly and Yvonne. Now, he said Ivan Weiss, Yvonne, glad to have you all with us. And we say, check out the other shows coming. Donald Trump is allegedly sent information that's going to be discussed on the Rabble tonight. And so to address some of us tonight. So I don't know what Trump, I say, from Trump. That's why I'm going to say, from him. But that's what I was told on our Black media, the Rabble show coming up next at 7:15. It's something from Donald Trump that's a gift to all of us. I don't know what it is, but I say from him, just to let you know that. So this is Run Tell That. Glad to have y'all. Check us out next week on Run Tell That. And again, we thank all y'all for joining us. Chase, Dominic, Austin, Yvonne, Ivan, and Lindsay. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.
Back to that.